What's up, everybody? We are back, and again, we got my buddy Jimmy the Crease in the house. What's up, Jimmy?
Not much, Mike. How you doing, buddy?
Oh man, I'm good, man. Stoked to have you here. It's always fun when we get together and do these.
Crazy world we're living in here, isn't it?
I'm telling you, man. Like the week before last, I see a big news thing. Cosa Nostra's over. The FBI has dismantled all mafia investigations. They're not going after organized
How
crime. It
about
doesn't
that?
exist.
How about
Doesn't
that? It's
exist.
gone. It
Doesn't
doesn't exist.
exist.
It's over.
It's over.
Now all of a sudden they own the NBA and poker games.
A week later, man, the mob took over every. What the hell happened, man? They get mad.
Oh my goodness.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I never seen anything like that. And I heard the guy pronouncing it. He said Casa Nostra.
Today, we are here in New York to announce a historic arrest across a wide sweeping criminal enterprise that envelops both the NBA and La Casa Nostra.
He said the
Cosa
Casa
Nostra.
Nostra.
Yeah,
Casa
they forgot how
Nostra.
to say it. I mean, they've been gone for so long.
He couldn't even remember the pronunciation, Jimmy. They've been gone so long, man.
They've been gone so long.
A week.
Cosa Nostra.
Gone, man. Casa Nostra reopened with a new name, man.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, man. So, when we did the interviews before, we talked about a little bit about your gambling experience, how you kind of got into it, where you learned it from, the knowledge. We talked about, we looked at the video of Gotti that Geraldo had where he was investigating gambling. And then we talked a little bit about your doing some gambling stuff while you were locked up.
Yeah.
So let's start from the beginning with the gambling. I'm going to let you go. You tell me how it went.
Okay. Okay. As it comes to gambling, I'm not really a gambler because my dad was a bookie. So I remember I kind of learned about sports gambling with my dad. And when I was 15, I had my first job. So I told my dad, I said, hey, I want to gamble on some football games. And he goes, you don't want to gamble? I said, yeah, I want to gamble on some games. He goes, what do you want to gamble? I said, I don't know, maybe $100, $10 a game. He said, you got $100? I said, yeah. He says, let me see it. So I got in my wallet. I gave him 5 20s, and he's going to take a cigarette lighter to it. And I go, what are you doing? He goes, I'm going to tell you what. He goes, I'm going to burn this. And if you can still pay your car insurance, put gas in your car, and go out with your friends on the weekend, I'll let you gamble. And I said, well, okay, I guess I'm not going to gamble.
Man, that's hell. The show's over. Okay, folks, thanks everybody for coming by. That's the mic drop right there.
Our
I've never
saying
heard
was,
anybody say it like
gambling money ain't got no home.
Yeah, man.
And my dad taught me right then that, I mean, you might win a little bit, but it's like very, very hard to be like over 50, 60% in like sports gambling. Now, there are people that do it and stuff like that. And I mean, it's a lot different now than it was gambling. But, and I mean, you got so much more knowledge now with the internet. Like, my dad passed away in 96 before all this. And I remember he'd be laying across his bed with a legal pad and he'd be writing out these like math equations to where he came out with his own line before Vegas did. Wow. And I mean, if he was alive today with all the information, oh my God, he'd be unstoppable. Because I mean, he was just a mathematical genius. And that's all he knew was sports, and that's what he passed on to me. Right. So he was with my Uncle Frank, who was kind of connected up in the Youngstown Mafia. So he was a bookie in the Dayton, Ohio area, working with my Uncle Frank. And I remember sometimes he'd get large bets, and he'd have to lay the bets over. He'd talk to people out in Vegas and everything. And I mean, it's just something I understood at a very young age. Like I tell everybody, you know, when I was 8 years old, other kids was getting fairy tales and bedtime stories at night. I'm getting quizzed on college mascots. You know, I
Right.
think I was the only 8-year-old that knew Furman was the Purple Paladins, and it wasn't until I was 16 that I found out what a paladin was. So, you know, it's like that's just how it was. So I didn't really gamble growing up. He would put out his own football tickets, and yeah, I play a football ticket for like $1 or something, you know, like that. But he basically, because he was disabled, when I was 15, I had a moped. So I'd be driving around Dayton, Ohio, dropping these football tickets off at all the bars in the area, you know?
Nice.
Um,
That's awesome,
so,
man.
so when I got to prison, of course, everybody, we would talk about all the background, and the Italians, they always had a football ticket or a sports gambling ticket. So I would run it for them. They'd basically back it, and I'd put it together and I'd run it for them. So that's what I would do because I mean, it kept me busy, kept my
Sure.
time going. You know, we lived through all the sports seasons, you know, and then you know, with me, September hit, and I considered that year over because football season in prison flew.
Right.
And then, of course, you know, when like fantasy sports came about, we'd have you know fantasy football leagues, we'd have fantasy baseball leagues, fantasy NASCAR, and I would run those leagues in prison. We'd have
Wow.
private leagues, and then at like recreation, I would run like a compound league for like rec. So I was always involved in the sports gambling aspect of it. Like I said, I mean, I'd play other people's tickets and stuff. I was never a big gambler, like maybe 4 stamps, which is basically the equivalent of $1.
Hmm.
Um, I
Right.
just bet so um, I'd have interest in games that I normally wouldn't even care about. Like if it
Right.
was on TV, I'd have a rooting interest.
Exactly.
Um, but my dad always talked to me about, you know, he'd say the fix is in and all this stuff. And I never really quite understood it until as I got older. And I mean, if people don't think sports can be rigged, and I'm not saying every single game is rigged, it's not professional wrestling.
Right.
But
Right. Right.
but when there's a lot of money going on a certain team, don't think Vegas ain't making a call that's saying, you know, don't cover that line or something like that. And there's been instances you could see. I
Sure.
mean, it was recently this football season, it was college football where there was like 3 seconds left, and the quarterback takes the snap, and he could have walked back a few yards, took a knee, and the game was over. What's this guy do? He runs 50 yards backwards and takes a safety,
Yeah.
which changes the outcome of the point spread. Now, you tell me if that didn't have
Right.
anything to do with something.
Sure. No, man, that's that shaving points or affecting a game. I mean, the thing for me with that is once people find out that happens, the integrity of the whole game is shot almost.
Well, I
Because who
mean,
are they
look
going to
at
think
Pete
not's
Rose.
doing it? Yeah, that's what I'm
Look
saying.
at
Pete
Pete
Rose.
Rose. I mean,
Yeah.
they wouldn't allow Pete in the Hall of Fame because he gambled on baseball.
Right.
Now, there was never any proof that he gambled against the Reds, okay?
Right. Right.
But they banned him for life because of the integrity of the game.
Integrity. Right. Right.
Now, I mean, this goes back to like the 1919 Black Sox scandal, you know, where the White Sox threw the World Series to the Reds back
Yeah.
then. And that was mob induced pretty much. I mean, those guys got paid more than they actually made in the regular season as a contract.
For
I
doing
mean,
that. Yeah.
that's what shocks me with that today with what's going on because these players are making so much money.
Right.
You
Right.
know, it's just I
What do
mean,
you think's the motivation nowadays? Like you said, that's what I thought. I was talking with a couple guys that I know, and the other thing is, I'm gonna do a show on this also more aimed towards the mob aspect of it,
mhm.
with a guy who's mob connected and stuff like that, and has a lot of that from back then. He's not there now, but he was, and I'm gonna ask his opinion on that. But with you nowadays, these guys make big money, man. I mean, you're making big money. What's the motivation to do that? Is it the threat of something happening, or just trying to be in, trying to be cool?
There has been nothing that came out about a threat of any violence. Okay,
Right. Yeah.
and as far as the motivation, I couldn't tell you because now I'm not 100% on these numbers, but like Terry Rozier, he
Mhm.
makes $26 million a year. What is $200,000 going to do to him, or
Right.
$20,000? Now they're saying maybe it was his family that he did it for. Well, hell, give
To
him
where they
two
could
hundred
drop a
thousand
big.
dollars.
Exactly. Then you
What the
don't
hell?
risk
Why do you want
everything.
to jeopardize
Yeah.
everything for that?
That
But
that's the thing. Yeah. If you're
but
already in the legit world of that much money, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, but it's also like you said, it might be maybe just a feeling of importance of being a part of something. Like they're saying Chauncey Billups had these poker games
Right.
for the Mafia and stuff. Like that. What's Chauncey Billups doing running a poker game for the mob?
Yeah.
It's like it's stuff that is it astounds me now that they'd be talking about this because of the salaries of these people. I mean, people always knew, and going into your backyard, with boxing, okay? I mean, you knew the mob pretty much owned Sonny Liston,
Right. A lot of
okay? You've heard
people.
the
Yeah.
stories, you know that.
Hmm.
Um, back before then, they would fix fights, have somebody take a dive, boxers would be owned by the mob and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
gambling was big to where they'd put all the money on somebody else and have their guy take a dive.
Hmm.
And then when my dad really talked to me about it and where I first started seeing it, and it really turned me against boxing was when, like, Don King would do that. I
Hmm.
mean, look at the Larry Holmes Michael Spinks fights. Okay. I mean, Don King
Sure.
didn't like Larry Holmes because he wouldn't sign with him. So he let Michael Spinks beat him on a decision. And then the second fight, everybody knew Holmes beat him.
Right.
And they gave the decision to Spinks. I mean,
Hmm. Oh,
there's
the
been
decisions
so
are just.
many.
Oh yeah, man. The decisions, the organizations, they're and that's what really soured me. And it's not because, hey, I hate organized crime or guys doing that. It's the fact that this is a sport that I really love. Let's keep it honest, man. I don't care about people betting or this or that, but once you corrupt it, it messes it up for everyone, because every young guy coming up, everybody who's once they're in on it goes, oh well shit, man, there ain't no real, what's the real motivation to try to be the best when you may get there and they say you're not going to do it, you're not going to
And
win this title.
and see, now, unless you're like a contender or a champion, I don't really know if the purses are all that good for all these younger fighters coming up.
As far as the purses now, I think that's why you see a lot of guys going into other stuff, like, say for instance, guys who weren't necessarily MMA guys start going into it. Like I saw Skipper Kelp is involved in MMA in Vegas. He's a trainer and stuff like that. That guy was a excellent fighter and boxer. You know what I mean? You would think there'd be enough in boxing for him to be able to just be in boxing. Now I'm not saying he shouldn't be in MMA, because he trains hands. You need a hands guy. You know what I mean? I
Right.
think a lot of guys lack hands in MMA a lot of times. But I'm just saying, a guy who's like that. We had one fighter at our gym that beat Skipper Kelp, um, and I mean he was a well respected, great fighter, and the fact that he can't, and he may be able to, he may just love MMA. I don't know, But I'm just saying, in my opinion, that's what I see a lot of times is guys having to branch out because there's just not a sustainable living just in boxing unless you're at, a certain point level or whatever. You know what I mean? There's not a consistency for the
Right.
average guy in boxing anymore. It just, at least from what I
Yeah.
see.
So I mean, you could see why back then, why there'd be fights that was thrown, and then
Right.
I mean, speaking of the basketball thing, I mean, this is really the first thing besides that official. What was his name? Donahue, who
Yes.
who was caught like
Right.
possibly fixing the outcome of the games. As a matter of fact, I just watched the movie again the other day, prepping for this show,
Is that
and
right?
yeah, and it was like he says he never affected any outcomes of the games, but when you got the whistle, you can do things.
That's right.
Now, college basketball has I mean, they've had scandal after scandal. I mean, if you
Sure.
kind of look at the 1951 in the City College in New York, um, they had that going on, and then it went to NYU, and then Toledo and Bradley was accused of fixing them until old Henry Hill from the
La Casa Nostra.
From
dropped the
Casa
bomb on
Nostra.
them and everything, and he told on them. But
Right,
I
right.
mean, that was going on back then. I mean,
Sure.
and then you had the 78-79 Boston College scandal. And
Right.
that was basically where one of their stars was shaving points because he was betting.
Yes.
So, I mean, this in college basketball goes back a ways, but in the NBA, for somebody to do that really wasn't talked about. And I think it's a lot easier now because of all the prop betting. Like you
Yeah.
could bet on Terry Rozier, how many
Right.
points he's going to score.
Mm-hmm.
He could affect the outcome of that.
Sure.
And I remember, I think Charles Barkley was talking about that. One person can't um, do anything about the outcome of a game. Well, yeah, he can. But if somebody's got the ball in their hands a lot, like, I mean, I watched the game they're talking about with Terry Rozier,
Mm-hmm.
and some of these passes he was making,
Very
and
suspect, huh?
and the missed shots. They said if he wasn't fined for shaving points, he should be fined for playing that bad.
For
I mean,
sucking.
if you go and watch it on like YouTube and that,
Yeah.
and if you watch it now knowing what they're saying happened, it's plain as day. I mean,
Sticks out there.
it's like he didn't even try to cover it up.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
that bad at it.
Yeah. Well, Crease, the thing with the college, you can almost understand because you're like, man, these guys are still hungry. They don't know for sure if they're going to make it in the NBA.
Well, and these kids, college in
They're
New
young.
York, and they're not going pro.
Yeah. Yeah. Got you. Yeah.
These kids at those colleges, they're not going pro. And back then, there was no NILs or anything. They had no
Right.
money. They were college kids.
Exactly.
I mean, you tell them $10,000 or something, you can win the game, but don't cover the spread. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's big money for somebody who has nothing. And like you say, they're not going anywhere. One thing I wanted to say on boxing is James Buddy McGirt, right?
Yes.
So Sammy the Bull testified, that McGirt was one of their guys that they had a piece of through Al Serta. And there was actually a sit down a couple times over him because the Buffalinos owned his contract or his, their part of him at some point, and then the Gambinos picked it up. Then there was a back and forth once McGirt started doing better. They wanted him back, and so they had a couple sit downs. Sammy didn't want to mess with him more. They sent Frank Locascio. He talked with him and finally they got it straight. John said, look, we're not giving him up. He's ours.
Eddie Scandria, the Gonzalez of the Buffalino family, complained to John Gotti that the Buffalinos had a piece of McGirt. Gotti told me to arrange a meeting with Scandria and Jojo to resolve the beef. I actually had several meetings with Jojo and Scandria about this. Jojo said that he had paid Scandria some money to walk away from McGirt. But now Scandria wanted back in because McGirt had done well and was getting bigger purses. After hearing both of them, I recommended to John Gotti that Jojo was right and that McGirt should stay with Jojo and our family. Eddie Scandria was not satisfied with my decision and kept coming back for more meetings. I got tired of meeting with Scandria about this, but out of respect for his position and age, we had Frank Locascio, who was part of our administration, continue to talk to him. But our position never changed. Serto and McGirt stayed with our family.
Now, having said that, he didn't testify of any type of, sketchy stuff with him, like throwing fights or doing anything stupid. It was strictly that they had a part in it,
Right.
He did testify that they tried to corrupt a heavyweight bout, and they wanted to use a guy in Italy to fight a guy here, and they were trying to set that up with King, and King told them he was already under federal investigation, and
Right.
if he can't do anything, which I think was kind of his, like, almost an excuse to, like, leave me alone, whatever. I'm
Right.
already
He had enough problems.
I'm my own gangster and mob. I don't need you guys stepping in. I'm already doing well. I don't
Right.
need y'all fixing shit. I can fix what I want. But anyway, it was, that kind of went into boxing a little bit. And then they tried to, also Sammy tried to say that Marvin, they believed that the Petronelli brothers were, he was saying they believed that one of them may have been a made guy or this or that or something. I don't know. I don't think there was ever any type of anywhere that anyone actually credibly said that they had any real ties. And he said he didn't believe so either once it was over. I don't even know why he mentioned him. I guess he was mentioning because they wanted to do something with Marvin, and they were real tight on him. They, kept good management and everything over him to keep him from being in those positions, So although he was ripped off, he got ripped off a few times, I would say Marvin did.
I don't think there's a fighter out there. I mean, like I told you about, I watched that Lennox Lewis Evander Holyfield fight.
Mm-hmm.
And that first fight, I mean, at the most, that was 10 rounds to 2. And they call it a draw. And why? Because Lennox wouldn't go with Don King. He hated Don King. Right. And then they had the rematch, and it was almost like you thought he was going to have to knock him out in order to win that, but he actually got the decision, and it wasn't even as close as the first fight was.
And there's some.
Yeah. And so, I mean, like I said, I remember people saying the first Ali Spinks fight was fixed.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it, but I don't really remember round for round or anything. I know they was saying that possibly it was fixed, so in the rematch he could get the title for the third time or something like that. But I mean, there was a shitload of money bet on Ali against Spinks.
Oh yeah, sure.
And
sure,
then, like I talked earlier about, in the Sonny Liston. Look at the Sonny Liston Ali fight. They still talk about the Phantom Punch today. And I mean, it's rumored that it was the mob who killed Sonny Liston,
Mm-hmm.
Gave him a hot shot, OD'd him.
Right.
Right. I mean, and that was a tragedy. Yeah. But I mean, back in those days, even before that, I mean, boxing was as corrupt as it got. Mm-hmm. And then when it started getting a lot more mainstream, it cleaned up, I think, a lot until Don King came in there. And then I just think it got so bad with that. And I mean, it really broke my heart because I loved boxing. And I mean, I just lost interest in the sport.
Listen, it was my life, man. And I was in a gym every day, training fighters, sparring, doing, working out since I was a kid and everything else. And the more I got that type of knowledge and saw things like that, and, saw fighters actually in our gym where they're damn near set up because they're not told about a fight until it's too late to really get in shape. But hell, what are you going to do? You're going to turn down this money,
Yeah.
type of thing. That's it. It just made me. I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it's a guy coming up from the bottom, that's put his life into this. He's putting his future life into this. He may not have the same memory he had, had he not boxed. He may end up with Parkinson. He may end up with other stuff. He may die in the ring. I know guys who've had aneurysms had to retire from boxing. I mean, I can't breathe from boxing, man. My nose is messed up.
Well, as a kid, I boxed Golden Gloves, and I swear that my Uncle Frank paid this one guy just to knock the shit out of me.
That's a great one. Tell me about it, Crease.
Man.
He wanted to get you out of boxing, huh?
He paid this guy to knock the shit out of me. The fix was it.
Yeah. Wow.
You
know what? I'll tell you that's funny. When I was young, man, and a kid, man, I remember me and my cousin. He was older than me by probably, I don't know, man, 5 years, something like that, and he was tall and bigger. And so we had watched Rocky or something. I was like, man, I'm gonna be a fighter, or whatever. He goes, you are? He goes, come here, let me show you something. We put socks on our hands. He goes, if you want to box after this, then okay, or whatever. Man, we put socks. I was like, damn.
That's what made me want to, Mike. I swear. Listen, I watched Rocky again last week.
All right, man.
I mean, it's, oh my God. It's like, if that just doesn't inspire any Italian kid to want to fight, come on.
I'm telling you, man. Hey, man. I'm going to be doing a short soon, I think, on Clubber Lang, man, and how, that snobby Rocky guy wouldn't give him a chance. He was just a hungry young guy, a gentleman trying to make it, and this Rocky guy wouldn't give this poor guy a chance, man. Humble Clubber Lang trying to just come up. What a character. That's it, man. But that's boxing. That was one of the things, man, because there were so many ways that boxing could be corrupted.
Yes,
from the promoters to the the managers to the judges to the sanctioning bodies to the
boxers themselves
to the fighters.
Yeah,
to the fighters. That's right. There's just you would think there's one guy in this sport on that team. It's in, and there's so many ways that it could be completely just corrupt and ripped off. And I think the worst that I saw in it that really bothered me more than anything was the amateurs. When I would see amateurs get ripped off, because of the politics of it, these judges want this guy to win because they're friends with the coaches or this or that. And your guy just completely dominates the fight. I'm not talking about, listen, I can accept a loss, without any problem. But I'm telling you, fights where I know a guy won and everybody there is just going, what the, you know what I mean?
I know.
And it's a kid.
And that's horrible for the kids.
It's terrible, man. That
probably
really
take
bothered
them out
me.
of the sport for the rest of their life, maybe,
Very well could, man. It very well could. And it did. I guarantee you it did. I guarantee. Well, look at Roy Jones.
Let's rewind to 1988.
So, unanimous decision for Roy Jones, the 19-year-old from Pensacola, Florida.
Pensacola's Roy Jones was the youngest member of the U.S. Olympic boxing team at the '88 Olympic Games in Seoul, South Korea. His first 4 fights en route to the final weren't close. Jones didn't lose a round. He went on to fight for the gold medal against South Korea's Park Si-hun. It was a decisive victory for Jones on the scorecard, landing 86 punches to Park's 32. The judges saw it different, awarding Park Si-hun the gold medal. Even then, Jones told our Dan Shugart that Park knew who the real winner was.
Korean boxer lifted your hand up on the stand, and then I understand he was talking to you after the fight. What all did he say to you?
He told me he was sorry that he lost the fight, but got the decision. Every other sport, he scored enough points.
Did you see the video of the guy that he lost to in the Olympics, giving him the gold medal? So he came here, went to Roy's gym, I believe. Roy has a gym in Pensacola.
The surprise of a lifetime for Pensacola's Roy Jones Jr., the former world boxing champ, now holds that gold medal that was denied him in the 1988 Olympic Games.
So I was like, you know what? I don't know if I want to keep on boxing.
Despite being a gold medal champion, it was Park Si-hun who retired from boxing after the Olympics. He never stepped in the ring for an organized fight again. The decision cast a shadow over the entire Olympic Games that year. Since then, evidence emerged over major corruption in the decision. 35 years later, Roy Jones got a phone call.
2 years ago, I got a call that somebody wanted to see me in my gym. They wanted to do an interview. I said, okay. I walk out here, and lo and behold, it's Parksy Hunt standing in my ring.
All by himself?
Yeah. So I got in the ring to shake his hand, and he gave me the gold medal back. I was like, oh, gosh.
Park Si-hun made a surprise visit to Jones' farm in Escambia County to personally gift him the gold medal.
He knows that it didn't belong to him, and he couldn't sleep at night with it not belonging to him and him having it. So for years, he's wanted to give it back, and for years, I wanted to get it back.
For more than 2 years, the pair kept it a secret. Jones revealed that Park will undoubtedly face backlash from his home country when the news breaks. He says Park's ready to make right.
Sometimes when you do things like that, it's against what they had planned to do, they will take you out for that. So I didn't want to jeopardize his life, and that's why I didn't even announce it when he brought it to me, because I didn't want nothing bad to happen to him. He didn't do it. The judges did it. But he suffered, just like I suffered. We both suffered because of what they did, the injustice that other people did to the sport of boxing.
Really,
That's a class act. Yeah. Talking about sports, Mike, and you know what's amazing is the most popular sport in America is basically the one that's really not been investigated that much, football.
Yeah.
You haven't heard of anything in college football, hardly ever.
No,
I mean, the only scandals you had in college football was this kid paid to go to Alabama or something like that, or were their grades right, or the old SMU scandal back in the 80s where they had the governor of Texas was basically cutting paychecks to the whole team like it was a factory.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But I mean, you've never heard of any kind of like, point shaving or anything like that in the NFL. You've never really heard of anything like that. You had the Deflate Gate with Tom Brady and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I'm telling you what, I'm thinking it's only a matter of time because of the prop bets, because of the prop betting. Mm-hmm. But if any NFL player would do something like that with the money they're making, I mean,
that's what I don't get.
In the 70s, the football players, they'd sell cars in the off season because they weren't paid nothing. Yeah. It's amazing. You look at these great football players like, Terry Bradshaw and all them. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. And they made hardly anything and the game was so much rougher. Now you got guys, they're making $40 million.
Yeah.
I mean,
they bump their head and they're out for concussion protocol.
Right. And you never heard of those guys throwing any games or anything like that. I mean,
are you kidding, man? No.
But I mean, like I said, with the prop betting, it scares me. And I'm not saying any players have ever done anything, but you're not going to convince me that every now and then Vegas don't put a call in or something and something happens.
When you see some of the calls, some of the play, you know what? Listen, if I'm going to, okay, and this, I have to, first of all, I have to put a disclaimer. I apologize to little Junior Gatto, who ain't little. He's like 6'8" or something. Craig's son. He's a big Seahawks fan, right? Man, listen. When they were
Super Bowl.
When they were on the 1 yard line,
and you're not going to give it to Lynch.
You're not giving it to Marshawn Lynch, man. Listen, wait.
4 times.
I may have to take this out. This may have actually been a mob thing. I'm sorry. I don't want to get whacked over here, man. I'm getting out of that one.
That is, well, I mean, that's been over. You're safe.
Yeah, but still, I mean, good
you
God.
For other things, like, your jarred pizza sauces and frozen pizza.
I'm going to be in trouble for that.
You ain't got to worry about this. But, no, there's been so many times that you look at stuff like that. But, I mean, I'm kind of more looking at, like, officiating calls.
Oh, yeah, bad calls
can definitely alter. Sure. I'm not saying the outcome of a game, but maybe a big point spread, maybe a big over-under. Maybe something like that, and sure. I mean, it's just like you talked about on that Super Bowl thing, That's all they need is for something to really happen in the Super Bowl, the biggest sporting event in our country each year, and to get people to frown on football. But yet they say it's gambling that saved football. You know, they're saying gambling saved all this stuff. I'll tell you, gambling's the only thing that makes the NBA watchable.
Sure. Yeah.
You know?
A lot of people, for a lot of people, it makes it fun. Like you said, you would get some action yourself on some sport that you weren't necessarily into, or a game,
right?
To make it more interesting for you
It's
while you were locked
interest.
up. Yeah.
You get some rooting interest.
It gives you some skin in the game, makes you want to really, watch it and follow it. That it makes it fun, man.
Right. And you know, it's crazy now too, because when they're talking about, with the Mafia now, I mean, you don't have to go to a bookie to make a bet.
Right. Not at all, man.
Shoot, you can bet on your phone. You can do anything now.
What if Casa Nostra owns the phones, man? I mean, come on. No, but
is there an Italian phone company?
Exactly. That's where we're gonna have to trace this back to, man.
I'm just looking, but it's like, it's just, I don't know. It's just, now, I don't know. Did they say the Mafia was involved in the Terry Rozier thing?
Listen, I'm going to have to do a full dive. I did a quick overview. I've read a couple things. I've seen different stuff. They were mentioning this one kid who they were mentioning him, and I don't want to disparage the kid, but I mean, he wasn't, that I know of, he wasn't no big, mob guy or whatever. His name was thrown in there, and he caught some time on a case years ago that wasn't even a mob case or anything. And I think they just wanted to use his name because they had a vow, and it sounded good. It rhymed with
because I know in the Chauncey Billups thing, they named 4 out of the 5 families.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I did see that.
Yeah,
I read some of that, and like I said, man, even that stuff, it's like I'm gonna have to see some footage or some wiretaps of Billups talking to somebody, man, Skinny Lou or freaking Pasta Manzone or something about whatever before I start saying for sure this happened.
Maybe we should get him on the OG Mike show.
Let's get him on, man. I'll have
the Crease.
He can come on here with Crease.
That motherfucker.
That's right. We'll find out what's up. Yeah. Trying to put in Casa Nostra into this. Oh, man.
Mike, I used to talk to Carmine about gambling, like sports betting and stuff.
Okay.
Because the mob was always big in gambling, but they was never really like Carmine would say their big thing was just the bookmaking themselves, not really betting themselves. Now, you had people who were, degenerate gamblers. They said Gotti was a degenerate gambler. Yeah. They said, he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. That's what they were talking about him. But I mean, Carmine would say their money came just on the bookmaking itself.
Yes.
I mean,
not from fixing
from fixing anything or stuff like that. But I mean, not saying it wasn't done, but I know Carmine talked about, and I believed him, he wasn't involved in anything like that, in his time there. But I mean, you don't know if other families were or stuff like that. But I mean, gambling was probably one of their biggest money makers.
Right.
I mean, how you think they built Vegas?
So now so the gambling aspect, just that kind of irks me from back in the day to now, is guys who were bookies, people like your dad. I knew several guys that were here, and in fact, me and Lee Canalito, we dealt with a guy that was in the boxing gym, man, and that's what he did. He just handled sports betting, and me and Lee would bet on basketball. That was our big thing, was betting on basketball, and we got on a pretty good streak one time. But why so much time and effort goes into investigating guys that are just handling gambling, and like you say, it's legal now just about everywhere, and everything else, but they spent so much time and money putting away guys for betting. I mean, it's just a stupid. It's like,
well, it was like, in the short time of the prohibition, look how much time and money they spent on that.
mm-hmm.
And then what they do, they did away with it. Just like
That's
you
right.
said, they spent all this time and money on gambling. Now it's legal.
Right.
I'm kind of pretty much sure it was just a way to go after the Mafia guys with the gambling, stuff like that. Try to get them on something like that. Get the ledgers or something. I mean, I don't think it was your average Joe who's like, putting $100 on the Super Bowl or something like that they're going after.
No, I don't think so. But just guys who were handling action, maybe, and some were handling big action. There was a guy here,
absolutely,
who, you know what I mean, he was covering big stuff. Maybe it's like you said, to get them on that, squeeze them, and get somebody else that maybe they know or that they are associated with.
And then especially when the RICO came out,
right?
Then if they could tie somebody to a bookie, I mean, they could show that RICO case,
right?
But I didn't understand it, and I mean, there was very rare that you would see, like, murders in the paper over gambling debts or stuff like that. It wasn't like that stuff was going on. And it wasn't, I mean, I don't even think it was a big to do in the news or anything back then. It's something everybody knew that was going on.
Yeah.
I mean, back in those days, I bet you everybody knew somebody who knew a bookie.
That's what I'm saying, man. I knew an old grandma that was tied to some big bookies here, man, and got action and everything else, and was an upstanding citizen. That's just what they enjoyed. They didn't want to fly to Vegas, every week or this or that. You still wanted some action. That's what you did,
Mike, it's the same thing with drugs, I think. I think the feds are against it until they can profit off of it.
Till they can get in on the racket, huh?
Exactly.
I think you're right, man.
I mean, look at lottos.
Yeah.
Okay. Probably the biggest money makers in the States.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, like, all the marijuana before was, so illegal, and now all of a sudden you got dispensaries on every corner. Why? Because they can tax it.
They can tax it. Gone are the days of the pink polo pot bandit.
Man, I tell you what, I heard he was like the bandit.
That guy was moving smoke under the radar.
He had like a semi behind him.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
Amazing.
Let me tell you a couple. So with this current one, they say they got Ralph. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name because I'll butcher it. Cacciatore, I think. Genovese associate. Anthony Tony Baglivo, Gambino associate. Joseph Joey Slick Maniscalco. I got some Maniscalco cousins. Still in Sicily. Banano associate. Salvatore Big Sal Rubino, Gambino associate. Marco the Butcher Bellini, Genovese crew.
Listen, I ain't placing any bets with the Butcher.
I ain't messing with the Butcher, man. Shit. Unless we're over there buying steaks, I ain't talking to the Butcher.
Yeah. Unless he got the gabagool.
Unless we want the gabagool, man.
We want the gabagool.
Fabio Montiglio Gambino. I mean, it just goes on. But the point, I guess what I'm saying is, I think they like naming these guys' names. Some of them of what they've named them. Some of these names you find out later, people don't even call these people this. Just, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't their name. It's a name given or that people call them. And, then the associate thing, So I was talking with a guy the other day who's an associate. And so he was telling me, he said, man, listen, Mike, he goes, anybody talking with somebody who's, a guy or knows, once you've talked to him, you're an associate, So the guy at the meat market, you go order your gabagool and you're talking to, Skinny Pete, and he's ordering, now you're an associate. You know what I'm saying? So this stuff gets used loosely in how they want to also. So,
but I'm just looking at it like this, Mike. don't we have enough problems in the world than to worry about Chauncey Billups' poker games? I mean, why don't you bring down the cost of bacon or something?
Hell
or
yeah,
beef,
man.
or a fucking
Beef,
steak.
please.
Bring the cost of a steak down and let Chauncey have his poker games and give it to the Gabagool family. I mean, come on.
Listen, I have had to cut back on steaks. I am not BSing, man. With these beef prices, I used to live on steak, man. I mean, I love steak. Steak's the best
The
thing
last
you could
steak
eat.
I had was in prison, New Year's Eve, 2023.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me, man?
Yeah, they give us steaks New Year's Eve. I think it's called Beth. It's not beef, it's Beth. But,
you got Beth there.
Yeah, it's like on Caddyshack, This steak's got marks where the jockey was beating it, But yeah, I mean that's honestly probably the last steak I had.
Is that right? It's outrageous, man. It's outrageous right now. Bring down the price.
How do we
of
get
beef
off the food?
Because they need to leave. They need to leave the Gabagool family alone.
Yeah, leave the gambling alone.
That's what I want to find out. Who's rigging the price of beef? Son of a bitch.
My goodness.
Shit. No,
it's them Texans.
That's what it is, man. That's what it is. Hey.
Listen, you're the one putting all these videos out.
They go in my deep freezer. I got beef out the wazoo.
Yeah.
No, but you brought up a good thing to Billups. Now I'm gonna put that video right here.
What you gonna do?
Hell, what you gonna do when they come for you? Snakes, that's not a snake, no snake. Hey.
Listen, I'm not a card guy. I don't like those kind of games personally. Playing myself. I don't like having to think that much into, playing cards. That was pretty slick how they did the invisible writing number, and then with the X-ray glasses, they could see which one is, ace, queen, 3, or whatever. That's pretty slick, man. I mean, now.
Are those the glasses that was in the back of the comic books?
I think
you could see through women's clothing or something?
Those never worked, man.
No.
Shit. I want my money. Hey, if anything, the mob owned that company, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, and the sea monkeys. Yeah.
I never had a sea monkey farm my whole life. I had a water of slime, man. It was terrible, man. Yeah. But, that was a pretty slick thing. But I'm going to say this. If you show up to a card game, man, and you don't 100% know everybody there, whatever, and it's big money and this and that, even if you show up to Vegas, even if you show up to casino, listen, man, the house ain't going to lose. There's a good chance things are fixed. And unless you figure it out and know how to beat it, then you're probably going to lose, period. So that's what I'm going to close on. What do you got?
Well, you remember on The Sopranos, we like The Sopranos, right?
Right.
They had the card games in the hotel room. Those guys knew each other. They were the great big rollers.
Mm-hmm.
Look what happened when the stranger came in that freaking owned the sports stores. They cleaned them out.
Right.
I mean, you're not going to go to these big games without knowing what's going on.
That's right.
Like I said, I just think there's a lot worse things going on in our country right now than for the FBI to worry about gambling and the Casa Nostra.
Leave Casa Nostra. Listen, a week ago they said they're gone. They dismantled all the investigating
Concentrate on shooting the boats out of the ocean that's freaking bringing all this stuff in here.
Stop the F word from coming in,
stop the F word from coming in and let the Casa Nostra have their card games.
Leave Casa Nostra. Hey, man, I love it. Hey, Jimmy, thank you so much, man, for taking the time,
Mikey,
man.
Anytime. I always enjoy it.
It was great, man. Great. You've got some huge things coming, man. You're going to be on another podcast coming up soon.
Coming up.
Tell me about that one.
Debbie coming up next Thursday night on the 30th, 8 o'clock live, Instagram.
Awesome.
Going to have a TV series coming out in the works.
Nice.
Going to have a little 6-episode documentary. It's in the process of being sold now to Dick Wolf Productions out in California.
Mm-hmm.
The books are coming along, so things are finally starting to hit the stride.
Love it, man. Love it. Hey, things move slow there, but they're moving in the right direction. You got big things coming, man. Big things.
Absolutely.
I'm so happy to.
I'm going to have a card game after that comes out. And, you all are invited.
Hey, man, I love it, man. I love it. Everybody hit like, subscribe. Go check out Jimmy on Thursday. I'll have a link or something in the description. And, hey, everybody have a good one. Stay away from Casa Nostra. Join Jimmy's gambling party soon. Later.
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?